Hello everyone, my name is Jocelyn. How are you doing? Welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be doing a comparison video. We are going to be comparing the e.l.f. Bite Size Eyeshadow Palette with the new Wet n Wild Color Iconic 5-pan palette. e.l.f. came out with their Bite Size eyeshadow palettes a few months ago. I have the one in Pumpkin Pie. e.l.f. is a wonderful makeup brand. I have talked about them here on my channel before, and they are super affordable. You can get it at Walmart and Ulta. Wet n Wild is also a wonderful makeup brand, very affordable, and you can also get them at Walmart and Ulta. They recently just came out with their new 5-pan eyeshadow palettes. Don't mind this shade, I accidentally dug my nail into it. You gotta be kidding me, I dug my nail in there. No! I hate when that happens. I have not used this palette yet, so we'll be doing it for the first time together. First, before we go through that, e.l.f. Bite Size Eyeshadow Palette, you get 4 shades. This is again in Pumpkin Pie. This retails for $3. They are vegan and cruelty free. $3 for 4 shades, you can't even beat that. Wet n Wild 5-pan eyeshadow palette. This retails for $3.99, which again is not bad. It's 1 shade more than the e.l.f. and you get some awesome, beautiful shades. This is in Go Commando, I believe. This is the name of the palette. We're gonna be testing these out today. I will leave a little clip of swatches, e.l.f. Bite Size Eyeshadow Palette, and the Wet n Wild Color Iconic 5-pan eyeshadow palette. I feel like the color story here is kind of similar. I'm going to be doing e.l.f. on one side and Wet n Wild on the other. We're going to compare the two and see which is better. Either way, they're both amazing, affordable. Their products, their eyeshadows are amazing. So either way, they're both are a win-win in my opinion. So if you would like to see, stick around. I'm first going to start with the e.l.f. Bite Size Eyeshadow Palette first on my left eye. I've used this before, so we're gonna use this first. So I already primed my lids and set it with powder. I do also have foundation on, but I'm going to do the shadow first and then finish the rest of the face. With the e.l.f. eyeshadow first, I'm first gonna go into this shade here. I'm gonna blend that in my crease. Now I'm going to go into the darker shade here. It's kind of like a dark chocolate, and I'm going to put that in the outer portion of my eye. So I feel like with the e.l.f. shadows, I have to go in a few times to get any pigment out of it. It does have a little bit of kick up in the pan, which is not a big deal, but I am noticing that I have to go in quite a few times just to get anything to really show up on my lid. Okay. I'm going to go in with a shimmer. I'm going to take this one over here. I'm going to first go in with a brush. I'm not going to wet it though. See what we get. Oh yeah. That is gorgeous. And I didn't even spray my brush with any setting spray. And that is how pigmented it's coming out. Gorgeous. I'm going to go back in with that dark brown. A little bit more. Blend it in with that shimmer so there's no harsh line. And then going back in with that lighter caramely brown right at the top. And since there's only one more shade, I'm going to take a little bit of this on my finger and I'm going to pop it right in the center here. Right in between the first shimmer and the brown. And just mix it in. I feel like you get really good payoff with these shimmers. The matte shades, I feel like you have to keep going back in to really get any payoff, especially with this caramel shade here. I didn't really get much fallout either, which is nice. So there's that. I'm gonna use the exact same brushes. I'm just going to spot clean them first to get all the e.l.f. shadow off, and then we will go into the Wet n Wild one. All right, Wet n Wild time. I'm going to go in with this shade here first. It's just like the e.l.f. side. It's kind of like a caramel shade. I'm gonna go in with that first. Okay, so this one does have a little bit of kick up as well. I don't know if you can see that. A little bit of kick up, just like the e.l.f. side, but there's a lot of pigment. Let's tap off the excess there. I'm gonna put this in my crease. Oh yeah. I really like how it's blending out. It's nice. I feel like the pigment payoff is a little bit better than this side so far, just with that first shade. I'm gonna take the shade right next to it. It's kind of like a brick reddish brown color. I'm gonna take that on the outer portion. That one's got a lot of kick up. Do you see that? But that's fine. As long as the pigment comes with it, I have no issue. So let's see. Okay. So I'm not really getting any payoff with that one actually. I feel like there was a lot of kick up in the pan and it's not really showing on my eye. Okay, there we go. Somewhere. Eventually got payoff with that though, that's nice. I'm gonna go back in with that first brush. I'm not gonna put anything else on it. I'm just gonna help blend that out. That is nice. I'm gonna go into this light shimmer shade right here. And again, I'm not gonna wet the brush. It's going to go in with it first just to see. Okay. Definitely not a lot of pigment there. Definitely not a lot of pigment there. I'm going to wet my brush. I'm going to be using the NYX Prime and Set Spray. Spray that brush a little bit and then try that again. There we go. That's a lot better. You definitely have to wet the brush with the Wet n Wild shimmer shades. That is really pretty. I like that. Now there is a almost like a pressed glitter kind of shade right here. I kind of want to try that. So we're going to go into that one and see if we can get any payoff with it. I'm going to put it right on top here. Okay. I'm not getting too much payoff with it though, but it's still really pretty. Okay, there we go. It's almost like a metallic kind of look to it. That's nice. I'll go back in with that first brush and just help blend everything out here. So this is the eyes. Elf side, Wet n Wild side. So what I'm gonna do now, I'm gonna go finish off the rest of my face, and then I will be right back. All right, and the rest of the face is done. Let's go over both palettes and see which one is the best. The Elf eyeshadows are good, but I feel like this shade here, it's caramel shade, I feel like I had to go over it a few times in order for the color to really have any payoff. The brown shade here, I don't know, it's starting to look a little patchy now that it's on the eye. I feel like the mattes aren't that pigmented. It's not that big of a deal though. It's $3 for 4 shadows. You still can't beat that. The shimmers, however, in this palette are chef's kiss. They are amazing, the shimmers in this palette. Absolutely stunning. The pigment is there. You don't even have to wet the brush. It is just super duper good. So for $3 for this, you literally can't go wrong. It is a very good palette. Definitely prefer the shimmers in this palette than the mattes, but overall, it's good. The Wet n Wild palette, I really like this one. The two mattes that are in this palette are good. Like the mattes in here definitely are better than the Elf palette. For me anyways, this is just my opinion. You could buy it, experience it for yourself. Everyone has their own different experiences when it comes to makeup, so you don't need to go based off of what I'm saying. But I feel like the mattes in this palette definitely are better than the Elf one. The shimmers, however, I definitely prefer the Elf shimmers. These, you definitely had to wet the brush to get any payoff. This shade was kind of powdery and it didn't really have any pigment to it until I wet the brush, and then it started to show. This one is really pretty as well. I have not tried this one, so I mean, it looks like the pigment is there, but again, on the eye, you never know. I feel like with swatches, you can't really base an eyeshadow off a swatch because it might swatch horribly, but it might be pretty on the eye. I really like this palette, I do. The shimmers could be a little bit better, but for $3.99 for 5 shadows, again, it's a steal. If I had to pick one, oh, it's so hard. Because they are both fantastic. They are both vegan, cruelty-free, very, very affordable. But if I had to pick one, it would have to be Wet n Wild. To be honest, don't get me wrong, Elf is still amazing. I still love it. I will still use it no matter what. I only say Wet n Wild because of the matte shades. I use more matte shades than I use shimmers. And the fact that the matte shades blended out very good. I feel like the matte shades in here were giving me a little trouble. But just the overall eyes, I feel like the powders on this side compared to this side came out a little patchy. I feel like the Wet n Wild side definitely just looks better. Again, that is just my opinion. They are both absolutely amazing. I love them both. But just for the sake of this video, Wet n Wild. It's 99 cents more. You get one more shade in it. And it's actually really good. Wet n Wild's actually stepping up their game. They're getting up there. That is it for this video. That is it. I really hope that you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already, so you can be part of my family, my channel here. I would really, really appreciate it. And maybe share it. Share this video. Show a friend. I would really appreciate that as well. Without further ado, I say goodbye. Thank you. I appreciate you. Have a wonderful day. Bye. First, start with the Wet n Wild. No, it's not Wet n Wild. This is Elf. What was I gonna say? I don't even remember what I was gonna say. I'm having a brain fart. There are two mattes that are in this. In this. Ooh. Why isn't this turning off? Turn off.